Welcome to Goodwood Revival.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Well, let's go.
This video is brought to you by Selected Car Investment, where we buy and sell only the best collectible cars. Check our website to see if your next car happens to be in stock, or contact us for off-market cars, or if you want help to find your next investment. We're here at the Goodwood Motor Circuit, where we have invited some of our guests in the Selected Car Group, some of our customers, to the Goodwood Revival. And what is the Goodwood Revival? Well, the racetrack Goodwood was closed off in the mid-60s and revived in the late 90s. And it is now hosting a motor race where everything is set in a period theme. And that adds a lot of drama to it. Its former history as an airfield is also celebrated. And basically a celebration of everything automotive motor racing up until the mid-60s. And that adds a lot of drama, a lot of atmosphere, and a whole lot of loveliness to a race meeting. So let's see what the Goodwood Revival is all about.
Yes, I found love deep in my heart. It's so adorable, must be heaven's work of art.
To get a proper insight about the racing, we found a man that knows more about actual racing at Goodwood than most people. Mr. Tom Kristensen, 9-time Le Mans winner, Selected Car Group ambassador, and house captain here at Goodwood. You first came to Goodwood Revival in 2010, but since you've been back numerous times, what is it that attracts you to this event?
It's so authentic, and everyone is part of the act. Everyone is dressed up. I'm sure you see numerous of shops, you see the cars, everything behind when you enter the track. It is from back then, and I think that's really, really fascinating, and it's great to be a part of.
You were racing this wonderful car yesterday. How was that?
Yeah, it's a Ferrari 250 GT Short Wheelbase in a beautiful blue, 12-cylinder, very crispy, lovely sound. We qualified in the wet and came from the back, which made it even more gratifying to bring it onto the winner's circle.
This one did go into my bones as a spectator as well, and seeing the car being drifted. But it is funny because compared to the cars you just mentioned, this is not that powerful. I guess we're talking 300 something horsepower. But
yeah,
does that make it easy to drive?
Yeah, it races in the class of the Sterling Moss trophy. So of course period cars, Jaguar E-types, but several other Ferraris. There's some Cobras. It's a little bit of mixture of all these cars there from the early 60s. They got enough power. I think it has a little bit more. I think people are quite, in the modern way, they are quite good at optimizing what they have around. I felt, especially in the wet, I had wheel spin in all gears, so constantly you're just fighting it around the Goodwood track as you're running period tires, Dunlop tires from back then. So certainly no slicks, far from it. So in that sense, it's you can say every lap starts with a journey, and sometimes it can be very it can turn into a Cinderella story.
Yeah, and about stories, we are in England, and obviously now currently the weather is not sunny. English people like talking about the weather. How does this car drive in the dry compared to in the wet? It's a big difference.
There's a big difference, but just everything is amplified. I mean, the car is quite easy to drive with. You try to make a controlled oversteer. So quite early when you're going towards the corner and going towards the apex, you have a very long entry. So you're not sort of squeezing it in on the brakes. You try to rotate it on the throttle after you dropped a little bit of speed, and then you control it on the throttle with a very soft steering wheel through the corner, and that's just amplified in the wet. The rear has no grip, so you're constantly working the rear.
And Of course, it's obvious you are very often sideways in the car. And I wonder sometimes, is it for show or is it actually the fastest way around?
And sometimes if you defend, you have to go in a little bit hotter and then you will rotate and be a bit more sideways. Sideways you need to be, but not probably, it's you're constantly flirting also in terms of the grip and the tire temperature pressure. Because if you rotate it too much, slide too much, you probably end up with too high temperatures. So that balance you try to find sort of every lap and try to think how far we're going.
Sure, and for me as a spectator, I enjoy seeing just that, the greatest cars with the greatest drivers in the best settings. So thank you, Tom. Thank you for the introduction to Goodwood Revival.
I know that you're a high styler. You show it everywhere you go. Talk like you're a town crier. And baby, it goes to show. Nobody's fool ain't fooling nobody. When all fools have done gone. So go ahead on.
The racing at Goodwood Revival is world class, but the event is about more than that. It is about the style, the atmosphere, and pure class. And you can't really say that without a glass of champagne in your hand. There's also a cigar bar, a barber, a hair and beauty salon, a motor show. If you at any point end up having had too much of cars, too many people, and need your relaxation, you'll find plenty of these little oases that are much more quiet, much more relaxed, but still very stylish, very period, and just very lovely.
Down. So go ahead on. Go ahead on. Go ahead on. Baby, just go ahead on.
Goodwood is an old airfield, and the revival is also about celebrating that part of the past. And I don't know anywhere where you can enjoy a beer under an original Supermarine Spitfire. How cool is that?
With Joe this morning.
Goodwood never fails to attract the rarest cars out there, and Aston Martin did a Formula One car back then. This DBR4. It never fails. Goodwood attracts the rarest cars in the world. If you didn't get the memo about the dress code at the revival, it's not a big problem. Here you can get yourself a hat, ties, cravats, lovely vests, vintage coats, proper shoes, luxurious vintage luggage, or actually just whatever you need to complete that vintage look. So, to sum it all up, Goodwood Revival is probably the next best thing to actual travel in time. What a race meeting, what cars, what atmosphere, what weather now, what lovely people. We cannot recommend it warmly enough. So let me know, do you like this kind of content? Do you like this kind of cars, this kind of atmosphere? Let us know in the comments below.